Emerging this morning about the shocking, sudden and violent deaths of legendary film director Rob Reiner and his wife. A spokesperson for the Reiner family says the couple was found dead in their Los Angeles.
Unseen by the world, Rob Reiner's legacy remains untarnished. Yet the details of his autopsy add a sobering, poignant layer to the story of his life, a reminder of the fragility behind the brilliance, and the reality that even legends are human. In the years leading up to his passing, Rob Reiner's life appeared to most as one of continued creativity and influence. He remained involved in film and television, attending premieres, advising younger directors, and participating in charitable endeavors. Yet behind this public-facing persona, Reiner was quietly grappling with mounting health challenges that few fully understood. Friends and colleagues noticed subtle signs, moments of fatigue on set, a slower pace when walking between interviews, and times when he seemed unusually withdrawn. But the depth of his struggles only became clear after the autopsy report was released. The report highlighted a combination of conditions that compounded over time, each one manageable individually but collectively creating a serious risk to his health. Heart issues, lingering effects from previous illnesses, and other underlying concerns weakened his system, leaving him vulnerable to complications that might not have been apparent to the casual observer. Those closest to him were taken aback by the severity. While they knew he had health concerns, the report revealed how critical the situation truly was. For Reiner, maintaining appearances and continuing his demanding schedule often meant ignoring warning signs, pushing his body further than it should have gone. Adding to the physical strain was the immense psychological pressure he endured. Hollywood success, while glamorous, carries hidden weight deadlines, public scrutiny, and the constant demand for innovation can take a toll even on the most seasoned professionals. Reiner, known for his meticulous attention to detail and perfectionism, often carried the weight of these expectations alone. Close friends recounted late-night calls where he voiced frustration over creative challenges, the stress of production delays, or the emotional fatigue of remaining in the public eye. The autopsy report, combined with these testimonies, painted a picture of a man juggling serious health issues alongside relentless professional obligations. Even in the face of these challenges, Reiner displayed remarkable dedication. He continued mentoring aspiring filmmakers, attending events, and advocating for causes close to his heart. But the report suggests that the tension between his personal limitations and professional demands may have accelerated his decline. Moments of exhaustion were masked by humor and charm, hiding the fact that he was pushing his body and mind beyond safe limits. For fans and the public, the revelations are a stark reminder that success and visibility do not shield anyone from vulnerability. Rob Reiner's final years were a complex intersection of creativity, responsibility, and hidden suffering. The man who seemed indefatigable on screen and in interviews was, in reality, facing battles that were invisible to most but painfully real. As more details surfaced following the release of Rob Reiner's autopsy, attention shifted beyond the medical findings to the emotional reality of his final months. Sources close to the filmmaker described a man who had begun withdrawing from large gatherings, preferring intimate conversations over the spotlight that had defined his career. While he continued to support projects and speak with industry peers, those who knew him well could feel something changing. His laughter wasn't quite as loud, his posture not quite as upright, and the sparkle that once lit his eyes seemed to flicker only in moments of nostalgia. People wondered if he sensed his time was growing short, even if he never verbalized it. The entertainment world was rocked when shocking details emerged from Rob Reiner's autopsy report, revealing information that fans and colleagues could never have anticipated. Known for his groundbreaking work as a director, actor, and producer, Reiner's public image was one of humor, creativity, and dedication. Yet, the report paints a far more complex and unsettling picture of the final moments of his life. Leaving fans reeling, according to sources, the autopsy uncovered findings that challenged prior assumptions about his health and the circumstances surrounding his death. While initial reports had focused on natural causes, the detailed autopsy suggests a combination of underlying conditions and potentially overlooked factors that contributed to his passing. Friends and family reportedly expressed shock, admitting that some of the information contradicted what they had believed about his health in his final years. The revelations also shed light on previously unknown struggles Reiner faced, both physically and emotionally. Insiders suggest that these issues were largely kept private, highlighting a side of the director rarely seen by the public. From managing long-term medical conditions to enduring the stresses of a high-profile career, Reiner's final years may have been far more taxing than anyone realized. Fans have responded with a mix of disbelief, sadness, and concern. Social media discussions are dominated by questions about what the report reveals and how it reshapes the understanding of Reiner's last days. Many express admiration for the resilience he displayed while continuing to work on ambitious projects, despite facing serious health challenges. The question now haunting the entertainment world: what exactly did Rob Reiner endure in his final days? And how did the disturbing details of his autopsy change the way we remember the beloved filmmaker? The news of Rob Reiner's passing sent shockwaves through Hollywood and the world at large. Known as the director of iconic films like A Few Good Men and Stand By Me, as well as a talented actor and producer, Reiner's public persona had always been that of a vibrant, energetic creative force. Friends and fans admired his wit, his passion for storytelling, and the way he could command a room both on and off set. Yet behind the familiar smile and sharp humor, there were struggles few had glimpsed, a reality that the recently released autopsy report would shockingly confirm. According to the detailed findings, Rob Reiner faced a combination of underlying health issues in his final years that had been largely hidden from the public. The report described conditions that, while medically manageable in some cases, combined in ways that significantly weakened his system. For someone who had spent a lifetime in the public eye, always active on projects, and deeply involved in his work, these revelations painted a startlingly human and vulnerable picture. Those closest to him admitted that while they knew he had health concerns, the severity and interaction of these conditions were far more serious than anyone had realized. The autopsy also hinted at the emotional and psychological pressures Reiner faced in his later years. Hollywood, while glamorous on the surface, had exacted its toll. The relentless demands of production schedules, public appearances, and maintaining his reputation as a top-tier filmmaker weighed heavily. Friends noted that he often pushed himself despite exhaustion, driven by a dedication to his craft that sometimes came at the expense of his own well-being. The report, in conjunction with accounts from those around him, suggested that the intersection of physical ailments and ongoing stress created a perilous environment that contributed to his untimely death. For many fans, the details of the autopsy have been both disturbing and enlightening. It reveals that even someone as accomplished, disciplined, and admired as Rob Reiner was not immune to the fragility of the human body and mind. The findings challenged the public perception of his final years, showing that beneath the accolades and celebrated career lay a man confronting serious vulnerabilities. Often in solitude, the release of the report has prompted conversations about health, stress, and the hidden pressures faced by those in the spotlight. It serves as a reminder that public success can mask private struggle, and that even the most charismatic, capable individuals can face battles. Close friends recalled that he seemed to be reflecting more than ever on the cost of his success. Reiner was known for his dedication to storytelling, a commitment that often meant sacrificing rest, privacy, and moments with his loved ones. He had always been aware that a public life came with trade-offs, but in his final period, he reportedly spoke about it with a new kind of tenderness. He questioned whether he had been present enough as a father, whether he should have taken more breaks, whether the pressure he placed on himself had been worth the toll it took. It was this emotional weight, more than any single medical issue, that shaped his final. The autopsy report may have detailed physical causes, but those who stood beside him believed stress and overextension were just as fatal. Sources described evenings when Reiner would sit quietly with a drink, watching footage of old films he directed, remembering the joy of creating something meaningful. He revisited his earliest career memories, recalling the pride he felt watching actors he'd guided rise to stardom and the satisfaction of finishing projects that once felt impossible. But woven into these memories was a thread of pain, regrets about strained friendships, projects unfinished, and stories he never had the chance to tell. The autopsy stirred these recollections for those who loved him, because suddenly his exhaustion made sense. The unexplained absences, the softer voice, the weight he carried on his shoulders. There was also a profound emotional struggle the public never knew about. Away from the cameras, Reiner wrestled with the fear of fading relevance. Hollywood moves fast. Legends can find themselves overshadowed by new voices, new styles, new audiences who don't remember their contributions. According to insiders, he felt this shift deeply. He worried that future generations would not understand the depth of his legacy. His autopsy report, now a chilling reminder of what he endured, only emphasized how much pressure he put on himself to remain significant in a constantly evolving industry. The relationships he held closest were affected, too. Some described emotional distance not born of indifference but fatigue. He canceled dinners, postponed calls, and pulled back from social circles he had once energized. When friends asked how he was doing, he would flash a tired smile and say he was fine. The truth was more complex. He was fighting internally to maintain control over a body and mind that were slowly betraying him. The autopsy findings, revealing the widespread nature of his health problems, confirmed the physical foundation behind this visible decline. Even in this fading period, Reiner had moments of warmth and triumph. Short interactions with young filmmakers left him energized. Fans approaching him in public reminded him of how deeply his work had touched people. But these highs were temporary, unable to fully lift the emotional heaviness he carried. In a heartbreaking way, the autopsy did not just expose his physical fragility. It revealed the emotional truth that Rob Reiner lived his final years trying to protect others from. In the days following the autopsy release, the world began speaking of Rob Reiner differently. Instead of the untouchable Hollywood icon who could do anything, audiences finally saw the man behind the legend. The details painted him not as a figure of glamour and ease, but as someone who carried immense weight personally, physically, and emotionally. His passing became a symbol of a larger truth. Even the brightest lights can fight battles in the shadows. Fans who once saw only strength now acknowledged a human being who gave more of himself than most ever realized. His family, always private, were shaken by the sudden worldwide scrutiny. They knew Rob had suffered, but not like this. The autopsy findings made clear just how much pain he had been working through, and that discovery created a mix of grief, guilt, and admiration. Loved ones wondered if they had missed signs, or if they should have urged him to step back, rest, or slow the pace he insisted on keeping. But intertwined with those difficult emotions was pride. Pride that Rob had never stopped pushing boundaries. Pride that he had refused to compromise his values or abandon his art. Pride that the man they lost was the same man the world adored. Hollywood itself reacted in waves. Actors he had mentored spoke publicly about his kindness, his discipline, and his ability to make anyone feel like their voice mattered on set. Directors revisited conversations they had shared with him, tiny pieces of wisdom that shaped their careers. It became clear that while Rob Reiner was not always in the spotlight in recent years, his influence never ended. The autopsy revelations pushed many to rethink the idea that aging Hollywood figures simply fade out. In truth, they carry the heavy legacy of decades spent building something meaningful. That weight can exhaust the strongest souls. The media, for once, did not turn his story into scandal. Instead, the autopsy report inspired a broader conversation about the mental and physical toll of lifelong pressure. Interviews with physicians emphasized how stress compounds illness, how years of sleep deprivation, flights, diet strain, and emotional responsibility can create a silent storm inside the body. Fans who once held celebrities to an impossible standard began acknowledging their humanity. There was a sense unity, people remembering